From first hunts to lifelong traditions, we're here to honor the heritage, hear the passion, and connect through the stories that make us all hunters. Grab your gear, find your stand, and listen in as we share another journey that shapes a hunter's legacy. This episode is brought to you by Logic Hunt, an app designed for the future of hunting, helping you prepare with purpose and pursue with precision. Where are you from, Lexi?
Right now, I live in Michigan.
What do you mean right now?
I have a tendency to move around a lot.
Tell me more.
I think I've lived in 8 or 9 different states now.
8 or 9, just depends where the hunting's good?
Yeah, pretty much. Or where I'm working at the time. Been living in Michigan, though, for about since 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
Where were you before?
Colorado for about 8 or 9 years. So that's when I was working with the Forest Service. Moved out there quite a while ago. I miss it a lot. Michigan is definitely not Colorado, but it has its perks.
So how'd you end up in Michigan?
Couple reasons. I was working, the job I had at the time in 2021 took me here. That's when I was working for Huntwise. And then my fiance lives here. So I met him on a mule deer hunt, also in 2021. And he drugged me to Michigan.
You worked for Huntwise?
I did.
What'd you do for them?
A little bit of everything. This was when they were still like a small startup company. So originally I got hired on to do their social, and then I wrote like all their blogs, articles. And then when they got acquired and integrated hunter's education and then boater's education all in one, then I kind of started doing the email side of marketing, email design, templates, customer journey, and also social media and articles. So I kind of did everything.
Were you a full-time employee?
Yeah. Yep.
So I have a hunting app, if you didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Things might move pretty fast, hopefully.
That'd be really awesome. And also very needed.
Yep. So if we find investors go through that stuff, we might be looking for employees. So I'll keep you in mind.
I can definitely help with the marketing side of things.
So where are you at now?
On the west side of Michigan, so over by Holland, where all the tulips are.
Tulips?
Yeah.
Sorry, I guess should have been more clear. Where are you working at now?
Oh, I actually just left my job at Bowtech. I was working for a pure archery group in the marketing department, so I was in charge of Excalibur, Bowtech, Diamond, Black Gold, Tight Spot, and Ripcord. I actually just left that job, and I say I'm going to do this, but actually doing it is a different story. I'm actually getting out of the hunting industry career-wise and transitioning into regenerative agriculture or holistic health. I say that, and I actually just had an interview with a company in the regenerative agriculture side of things. So there's still a few job potentials for me to do social media in the hunting industry still, but I personally would like to make the move just for like my own personal, like where I'm at personally. I love the hunting industry, but again, like you can't turn your hobbies into a career because eventually, depending on the person, it'll kind of wear you down after a while. And I've worked in the hunting industry for 14 years now. So now I'm kind of just at the point in my life where I'm fine just keeping it as a hobby. You know, I'll stay in it a little, but not career-wise. I'd rather do something a little bit more meaningful and impactful. Not that the hunting industry isn't, but I'd rather get away from like selling products and consumerism and focus more on like helping people achieve optimal health, teach people about soil and the importance of getting our soil back to where it needs to be, and gardening and homesteading and kind of being more self-sufficient.
Is the hunting industry kind of cutthroat? I've heard it can get kind of nasty in places.
It's cutthroat, but there's also some other things going on in the industry right now that people are starting to see that's different than it was 15 years ago. We've seen so many different shifts, like big shifts. 15 years ago, it was you had your pro staffers, which in order to become a pro staffer, you had to like know your stuff. You had to be a diehard, kill stuff all the time hunter. Pro staff kind of went away, and then the influencer thing kind of started where people are becoming ambassadors and influencers, and then that kind of was trending for a while. And then now you're also seeing content creators, YouTubers. You still got your OG TV people. You still have your influencers, but affiliate marketing is starting to fizzle out. The other side of that too, from more of like the business side of things, is you're starting to see private equity companies take over the hunting industry, and not for the better. You've got a lot of big conglomerate companies that are buying out these businesses and they're shoving them all into one. And it's just not working. You see it with GSM. I mean, GSM's got like 120 brands now. And you've got Vista Outdoors that just bought Sims and Stone Glacier. I was a part of one with Pure Archery. They had 6 brands. Anytime you have one entity that owns multiple brands, you're going to end up with a couple of those brands getting forgotten about and getting only like 10% effort. It is causing a lot of problems. We're seeing it with the quality of product is just it's not going up. Even with bow companies, it's like the same thing year after year. Products are the same. Like there's just nothing new and innovative coming out. It's just basically copycat repeat from what's already out there. So there's a little bit of that. And people are honestly starting to get sick of being sold to. They want their quality products back. They don't want just the newest, hottest thing that's going to break in a year or two. So there's a lot shifting, that's for sure.
Yeah, even in the hunting app space, so Deercast and HuntStand are both owned by GSM. Onyx, they're owned by a VC company. I don't know who owns Huntwise.
A company called Calcami, who owns Hunter's Education and Boater's Education.
Okay, so not that big of a company.
They're big enough, but again, like the private investors, who knows where they're from. So I actually started my own agency. I say agency. It's an agency of one person, which is me. So I started Hazy Mountain Media, which I kind of use that as my contract business where I do contract marketing work for people. So I build websites, implement SEO into people's websites, manage their social, help them build a brand, and then also create content for them because I've got that photo video background. So I kind of took all my marketing skills and put them into that. So people can actually hire me as a contractor to come in and do marketing stuff for them. And I expanded that now. So now I'm not just doing that in the hunting industry. I'm doing that. I just built a website for a holistic esthetician. So she does like skincare and facial massage and stuff. So I built her website. I've built websites for outfitters. I've managed a ton of different brands from like farming to apparel to boutiques or sunglasses.
Sunglasses.
Yeah. So I've done a lot of like social management for that kind of stuff, especially for people that are just building a business. I'll kind of like help them kick it off because I've been doing social media for 14 years now. So I could probably do it in my sleep.
I'm trying to learn how to do it.
It's ever changing, changes every day. You'll be an expert one day and a newbie the next.
Right now, I'm just focused on getting content out there, not, hey, look at me content, but like entertaining content.
But even that's changing. Like what people want is changing constantly. Now it's shifting into it's shifting back into the more of the, like the educational, entertaining, authentic stuff that we used to see. Again, people are just getting sick of the regurgitated copycat stuff. They're kind of over it. They want to see unique. They want to see real. They want to see different stuff. They don't want to see the same stuff posted over and over again.
This podcast hasn't taken off yet, but I'm hoping eventually it will because all the other hunting podcasts are, let's see, we can get this famous person, and all the podcasts are trying to interview the same people, whereas I don't want to interview famous hunters. I want to interview the people that nobody really knows about.
Yeah, that is the biggest miss because you've got a lot of I wouldn't say silent, but I would say I consider them like micro influencers, and this is marketing terminology, but like, for example, my fiance, Joe, he's got 4,000 followers and he is considered a micro influencer, but a lot of people look up to what he says because he kills things. He knows his stuff when it comes to firearms. So yeah, I agree with that. Even in my years working in marketing, like running these ambassador programs or running the community, like being in a community manager role, all these companies want the same people. And it's just frustrating because from a marketing perspective, there's certain people that sell products because they're knowledgeable, they know their stuff, they're representing the products well. And then there's some people that don't sell products, but they're nice to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Those types of people, they may have millions of followers, but they're not giving the ROI, They have a following because they're nice to look at.
Yeah.
That's just putting it a little bluntly, but
That's what we're here for. So this podcast, it's technically separate from my hunting app, but side by side, I do them both. But what I'm trying to do is build a community here instead of just like trying to shove product down everybody's throat.
yeah, I think from a psychological aspect, I think community is very lacking in today's society because I don't really know why. I have my theories, but there's just so many people nowadays that are just like very to themselves. They kind of stay home. They don't really go out. They don't do anything. They kind of just keep to themselves and stay at home. People want community, but then I always say that people want a village, but they're not willing to be the villager. So there's that aspect of it. And then the other side is, I don't know, like fear of meeting new people. People are just burnt out and overstimulated. I'm not really sure. But people definitely need community right now. And I think a lot of people just aren't sure how to get it or build it.
Well, I think the average hunter and maybe even some micro influencers, I won't say intimidated, but maybe they don't feel like they're up to snuff in some of these communities because all these big time influencers and stuff like that. And they just don't feel like they're up to that level when we should all be at one level.
I think the other side of it too is, at least within the hunting community, like the only opportunity to really meet people was at the trade shows. But some of those trade shows are fizzling out now.
Are they?
Yeah, there's not a lot of people going. There's some that people are going to, and then there's others that not a lot of people go anymore. I know for sure that Sheep Show and Western Hunt are the two biggest ones, at least right now, that a lot of people go to. Personally, Western Hunt is my favorite. The ladies' luncheon is super awesome. The companies and brands that go are awesome, and Utah's fun. So I know that might be part of it too. A lot of people go to NWTF still, so that's a really big one. I guess they opened the Archery Trade Association show, the ATA show. They opened to the public now, so that's going to be an interesting shift.
Yeah, I've done the Iowa Deer Classic 1 year. Which ones do you think would be best for somebody like a small company that wants to be more recognized nationwide?
Any of the deer and turkey expos, like the ones that are in like Wisconsin, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, if you're talking Midwest, Deer Fest in Wisconsin is a really great one. At least it was. I haven't been to that one in a while. The Great American Outdoor Show would be great, but you're guaranteed to get sick because the building has so much mold. Everyone gets sick there, and that's why. It's a barn, technically. You wouldn't know that by going there because when they put the show in there, they put like carpeting on the ground, but it's dirt. There's just not a lot of airflow and ventilation in that building, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of mold in the building. I know I got really, really sick when I went there. I only went to that show once and got really sick within like a day and a half of being there. And I would like to say the world's strongest immune system. I get sick maybe once a year and that's it. But yeah, that show's rough. But Western Hunt is a really great one too. Yes, it's in Utah, but it still appeals to the Midwest people, in my opinion.
I'll have to avoid that one. I don't get sick very often, but I don't deal well with mold.
Yeah.
So you're talking about these big companies. I mean, I hate bashing competitors, and there's nothing wrong with Onyx, but man, they just got the market by the balls. They got all the influencers.
They're the OGs. I mean, that was our struggle at Huntwise. Like the competition's always going to be there. They're always going to be number one. And even though the product is similar, I wouldn't necessarily consider them competitors because they're just so high in the ranks that it's not possible to view it as like an actual competitor. Pay attention to what they're doing. But that was kind of the other thing too, is like, in my opinion, take Bowtech, for example. You know, Matthews and Hoyt are always going to be number 1 and 2. They're always going to teeter between 1 and 2. With Bowtech, I think their biggest competitor is like Prime, PSE, Elite, and even Expedition. But, you know, when I was working at Huntwise, Onyx is definitely like the main competitor. But I think because they're so small and they're doing other things with like hunter's education and boater's education, that their main competitors is like Hunt Stand and Base Maps, I think. It's kind of like Yeti. No cooler company is ever going to be able to compete with Yeti at this point because they're just so far entwined into it that they're always going to be number 1.
Realistically, there's nothing really that special about Onyx. They got a lot of layers and stuff, but
yeah, I feel like their capacity to, the system that they run off of, their capacity to hold a lot of users is there. And the app very rarely has bugs or issues.
Yeah, but they don't have like the rut forecast. They have very limited weather.
No, but the rut forecast is a tough one because there's so much that goes into that because of each state. Take Michigan, for example. You've got so many does that we actually have 3 ruts. And you would have to have that knowledge and then be able to program that knowledge in for every state.
Or if there's an app out there that would allow users to enter their own data, so like timestamps from trail cameras.
Yeah. Are you familiar with On the Water? So, On the Water app is like a fishing app, but they use contributors to write without spot burning and without giving too much information. On the Water is a really great app. They're actually doing a lot of really cool stuff. They're like a fishing mapping app, but they use contributors like talented copywriters who fish, and they can go in and provide information about certain fishing areas or like certain rivers, certain lakes, wherever they're fishing to give information. And I think that would be helpful. It's hard because to do that for fishing and to do that for hunting, you're running the risk of burning spots. As valuable as it is, people are hesitant because of that.
I was thinking a little bit different. So I have places I hunt, 3 places, and I run trail cameras. I want to build a system where I can use the GPS coordinates and the timestamps from the pictures and map the weather and start modeling when deer are going to move. So once you get enough data and you start getting these weather conditions coming up, you can predict based off your own data when the hunting's going to be good.
Yeah, so I wonder if kind of like on that, if you can program it in a way where like how Onyx does, where they divide it out by state, like when you pay for the membership, you're not getting the whole country. You're like paying by the state. So if people could input their state and then they get the rut information for their state, that would be helpful. But again, you would have to have that information programmed in there.
There would probably be some sort of aggregated data, but if you started importing your pictures to make predictions in the future, that wouldn't go to anybody else. That would just be yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of stuff I want to do, not a lot of money, not a lot of time.
Time is my struggle.
I want to get into your future plans, but I was going to bring up, I'm trying to figure out this marketing and what to do for Logic. And I don't know if I want to be a little risky or be a stick in the mud with marketing, but one company that everybody raves about is Liquid Death,
Yeah.
and they're just different. You look at some of those companies where their product's not really that great, but they know how to market. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like Liquid Death is a good one. You just see some of these companies that crush it, but the product is just like,
Crap. Mountain Ops is a perfect example of that. Like every ingredient in Mountain Ops is from a fitness perspective and from a health perspective is just kind of crap. It's not a good supplement, in my opinion. But I'm also coming from the holistic functional space, but their marketing is killer. Their marketing is killer. It always has been. They're more of a brand versus a product. And that's kind of very similar to like Onyx and Yeti and some of these other companies where building the brand is more important than the product because that's where your community is going to come in.
I think that's probably the case for most companies. You can cover up a lot of mistakes and bad products with marketing.
Definitely. 100%. People do it every day.
One thing I want to do, we were talking about like the rut updates. I'm trying to find like a co-host local to me, and we're thinking maybe go set up at a bar every Thursday and do like a live show where people can call in and like share stories, rut updates, migration updates. I don't know if that would take off, but it'd be kind of cool if you could kind of build that sequence where, okay, every Thursday we're having a call-in show. People actually call in. This is what I'm seeing, or I killed this big buck. This is how it went down. I think if you could get that to work, that'd be huge for community.
Yeah, I agree. I also miss the old days where we had back tags and registration stations that you had to go register your deer. You couldn't do it online. You could see all the bucks that were killed. I miss those days a lot.
Where was this at? I never saw this.
This was in Wisconsin, so that's where I grew up. And it was very like tight knit. There's a bar in every corner and there's deer poles everywhere. Michigan's very similar. They have like their buck poles. Wisconsin does too, especially in the UP or like the northern part of it.
What's a buck pole?
It's like two big pieces of wood with the flat spot, and they hang deer from it.
Okay.
So, like, there's even churches that would have a buck pole, and they would just hang them. They had an elk pole too, because northern Michigan has elk and you can hunt them. But I know for sure Michigan and Wisconsin did that a lot, and it was like a tradition. The buck pole thing was more of a Michigan thing, but Wisconsin, we had, these big old back tags that you had to like safety pin with these giant safety pins to your jacket. You would get them from Fleet Farm or whatever, a big old giant number that you had on your back. And then when you shot something, you had to go to your local registration station, which was usually a bar, to register your deer. And you would just see tailgates down everywhere and dead deer, whether it's does or bucks. It was fun.
I remember when I was a kid, we didn't have polling stations, but you'd go to the bar after your party hunts and you just look in the back of every truck. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Wisconsin was also very famous for the deer drives, which I was not a fan of because those are insanely dangerous. And you have one deer getting shot like 12 different times with shotguns. It was rough.
That's exactly how Iowa is. It's definitely gone downhill the past 10 years. When I was a kid, you could drive a mile and see 3 different parties. Now you could drive around half a day, maybe see 1 or 2 parties out hunting, doing the drives. Is Wisconsin similar, or maybe you don't get back that often?
I don't get back that often anymore, so I don't know how it is now. I personally never went on one. I actually did one, and I was like, I am never doing this again. It was very dangerous.
You hear bullets whizzing by you?
Yeah. I mean, it's very similar to like how you would do a drive for pheasant, but you're shooting up in the air. Whereas deer drives, you're shooting at something on the ground, and the risk of shooting somebody else is a lot higher.
Yeah, especially when you have people walking one direction and people like waiting for the walkers to get to you.
And people are just not intelligent about it.
Oh, I know. I've had a few close calls. I was just talking to my uncle. We used to do it, and we were in the back of the farm, and there's kids shooting at deer, and the slugs were literally hitting the side building 30 yards away from a bunch of kids when we were out there.
Yikes.
Fun times, but before we talk into how you got started hunting, I want to hear more about your future endeavors on what you want to do. You mentioned maybe trying it on your own with this holistic.
Yeah, so ever since I left the Forest Service, I got into nutrition pretty heavy, mostly because of what they were feeding us when I was in the Forest Service. So me and a buddy of mine actually tried to reform the system. He was more into the personal training side of things. I was into the nutrition because the nutrition is crap. In the Forest Service, it's either MREs or Uncrustables with Sobe and Skittles and those Care trail mix. It's basically just sugar and empty calories.
So let's back up for a second. What do you mean the Forest Service? So how you describe your meals made me wonder if you're doing something completely different than what I originally imagined.
So I was a wildland firefighter for
Really?
9 years. Yeah.
So tell me more about this.
So I went to the fire academy in Wisconsin. I did structure firefighting and I was a medic for 4 years and then realized it wasn't for me. I was more into the fire side of things. And with that, you're dealing with a lot of car accidents and medical calls because it's kind of like a given, when you're a career firefighter, you do more of the medical stuff too. And you have to do the medical side of things also. That wasn't my thing. I'm a little too sensitive for that. So I ended up switching gears, almost got on with Green Bay Fire Department. Don't know why I did this, but ended up turning them down and taking a job with the Forest Service in Utah instead, and then went out there for the next 6 years. So I was in Utah, California, Colorado, and Idaho for a while. I was kind of bouncing between those. I got out of that in like 2019, right around COVID.
Did you have to like camp out or have like a base somewhere? Is that why you had all these MREs and all that stuff?
Yeah, so like we would have a home base. So whatever forest we were on, there's like government barracks that you would share with your crew people. And then when you would go out on assignment, I was on a shot crew, so it's structured a little bit differently. But for the most part, when you go out on assignment, you're gone for 2 weeks. So it's 2 weeks on, 2 days off, 2 weeks on, 2 days off from like April until September, November, depending on what state you're in. A lot of us were seasonals because that's just how it's structured. Like fires don't happen in the wintertime, obviously. So You had like very few people that would work all year round, but most of us were seasonals. So we would get laid off around like anywhere from September to December. So we would work 16-hour days, 2 weeks straight, and then we would get 2 days of R&R. And then we would sleep on the ground. We didn't really use tents because they took too long to set up and tear down. So when you have like 5 or 6 minutes to get dressed, get your boots on, and get into the buggy in the morning, you don't really have a lot of time to mess around with a tent. So it was just a tarp, a sleeping bag, your stuff, pack it up and go.
Hopefully some self-defense weapons sitting there with you. Okay. I'm glad we circled back because this all makes sense. If you're eating that same stuff for so many days in a row, like I used to travel for work harvesting and we were eating out every day. Better food, even if you're on the road for 2 weeks, you get sick of eating out. So I can see where it came from now.
Yeah. So with that, that's when I started the rabbit hole, and it kind of just kept on from there. Got certified as a functional nutritionist, was doing health coaching on the side while also still working in the industry. And then I've kind of like continued with that. So, I studied supplements for a long time. I'm pretty aware of like big pharma and how all that works. So now I'm studying herbalism because a lot of like herbs and roots is what a lot of these supplements are made out of anyways. So now I'm focusing more on like the natural medicine, the root cause healing. My main focus is going to be for women, helping women get pregnant, stay pregnant, and then recover postpartum. That's going to be my main focus right out of the gate.
So primarily coaching, education.
Yeah. So a lot of it entails with like changing people's lifestyles, changing their diet, doing labs and blood work and stuff like that, and getting them on the right supplementation for a temporary time frame, but eventually getting their bodies to where they can prevent things like cancer, autoimmune, diabetes, and then infertility issues.
Do you see, based off people you chat with on social media and all that stuff, kind of a big need for it or want?
Oh, yeah.
People are sick of just throwing whatever in their body.
Infertility is becoming a huge problem for men and women, actually. There's a lot of terrible education out there, and it requires a lot of unlearning and relearning. So it can be very, very overwhelming for people. And that's where coaching comes into play because with all this like health and nutrition stuff, it's very easy to get overwhelmed when it comes to like diet and vaccines and medication and stuff.
Everybody wants the easy button. Well, cool. I'm glad we got to share a little bit about that stuff. That's all pretty interesting. We'll kind of transform this into hunting a little bit. So we kind of got off a tangent because I'm kind of interested in that stuff too. But how long have you been hunting?
I'm not great at math, so probably since I was 6, I started hunting with my dad and my brother. We always had this one piece of property that we would hunt. It was from a guy that he worked with. So we had been hunting there for my dad had been hunting there for 20 years in total. So we would go out there, build our box blinds and our big old wooden tree house looking thing in the tree. My dad didn't really use tree stands for whatever reason. He liked to build his own. And in the Midwest, people go a little extreme with their blinds, like using sheds, and it's like a house on wheels. So we started off doing that. So I ground hunted for the longest time, and I always had a 30-06 in my hand. The main times we would go is like the 2 weeks of gun season in Wisconsin and then turkey season. So I would do a lot of that. We would do a lot of fishing. And then as I got older, when I was 16, I started working in a bow shop in Missouri when I lived there. And that kind of got me into the archery side of the world. So I traveled all over the country doing ASA tournaments and bow hunting with friends and just any opportunity that came my way for that. And that was my foot in the door into the industry. At the time I was working, planting food plots for people, teaching people about their soil, going onto their property, and I wouldn't say it's on the scale that Jeff Sturgis does, but I would go out and teach people about how to do food plots specifically on their property. So kind of started with that. And then transitioned, and when I was in high school, I started duck and goose hunting a lot with some buddies, doing a lot more fishing, and then it just kind of exploded from there. So went out west for the first time when I got on with the Forest Service. That's when I started elk and mule deer hunting, and then western bear hunting. And now that's something I do every year, no matter what. I mule deer, antelope, and elk hunt every year. And then I come back to Michigan and whitetail hunt.
We'll get into that. So you grew up in Wisconsin or Missouri?
Wisconsin and Missouri, technically. So my parents were divorced. My dad lived in Wisconsin. My mom lived in Missouri. So I bounced between both quite a bit.
And where were you hunting with the 30-06 at?
Wisconsin.
They allow you to use those rifles, huh? I thought it was just straight wall. For the whole state? Really?
And that's what's different about Michigan is you have a split where the northern part of Michigan, you can use the bigger rifles, mostly in the UP. Down here where I'm at now, where I live, you can't. You have to use like a 450 or a muzzleloader or something smaller.
That's how it is in Iowa. Straight wall cartridges, no 30-06 or 270s.
Yep. I grew up hunting with either a 30-06 or a 7mm. I chose 30-06 because I just liked it better. The barrel was shorter, so it was easier to maneuver in the tree stand. And now my Western rifle of choice is a 300 PRC.
Yeah, some of those new calibers are really starting to come around. That's pretty good caliber.
Yeah, and I shoot suppressed also, and it's amazing.
What kind of suppressor?
Huxworks.
You can't try them all.
Yeah, Huxworks is awesome.
Are they?
Yeah, the way that the suppressor is designed is it doesn't have as much blowback, and they're really quiet. The gun itself doesn't kick you as hard. They're my personal favorite. I haven't tried the other ones like Silencer Co. or any of that stuff.
I have a couple of Dead Air, and they're all right, but that's all I've ever shot.
Yeah, the silencers are definitely making their way into the hunting industry pretty hard. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the next couple years.
Well, it's already huge for coyote hunters.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yep.
You wouldn't think there'd be a lot of technology in silencers yet to come, but I think there is, like integrated in barrels, shotguns, and all that stuff.
They'll start to get more advanced.
So you split your time between Wisconsin and Missouri. Did you spend a lot of time hunting in Missouri, or was that later when you got a little bit older?
Probably later, like 17, 18. I never had the ability to shoot a Missouri giant, though. No.
You think there's bigger deer in Missouri than Wisconsin?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What part of Missouri?
Everywhere. The whole state has giants. Aside from Iowa, Missouri's like a hidden gem. Missouri has giant deer, especially if you know where to go, which is usually the armpit of the state. Like some podunk backcountry, backwoods little town has like the biggest deer. And it's a very hidden secret. Missouri is a different world. Like some of those southern states, it's a different world down there.
One of my good buddies, like 10 miles north of Missouri, and I always call it Missouri down there. Slower atmosphere, I call it. People aren't as, I mean, they work hard. Just have
Life is slower
pace. But
the state itself is like 10 years behind economically.
Fair statement. To all our Missouri listeners, she said it, not me. But
I mean, it's not like a bad thing, but like from an economic standpoint, it's about 10 years behind.
Southern Iowa's similar too. That's interesting. I don't even know if I would have put Missouri in my top 5 for big whitetail.
Where people gravitate towards is Kansas, Iowa, one of the Dakotas, Ohio. Ohio's tough because I lived in Ohio also for 2 years. Ohio's tough in my opinion because the weather is hard, because you can bait during season, and I don't know if they've changed that now, but it makes it harder because a lot of the deer go nocturnal. So it totally depends on like what piece of property you have to hunt, whether it's public or private. I know Pennsylvania is also known for some bigger bucks, but I think Missouri is a hidden gem for sure.
One, I would put Kansas. 2, I don't even know if I'd put Iowa 2. 10 years ago, Iowa's number 1 by a long shot. And I think it just got too much credibility. Kansas, Iowa. One that's really a sleeper that people are starting to figure out is Indiana. Indiana's top 2 or 3, I think, now. Kentucky,
I forgot about Kentucky.
I didn't think much of Kentucky until I started talking to other podcast guests. And if you look at the Boone and Crockett map, Wisconsin used to be top 2 or 3.
It used to be, and then wolves took over, and that's kind of what happened in Michigan too. A lot of people will deny it, but they're full of crap. The wolves are definitely really, really, really bad in Wisconsin, and a lot of them, the DNR will deny it, deny, but that's been a problem for probably the last 12 years. Like, you had Buffalo County that used to be huge
I was
whitetails.
just gonna bring that up. Is there wolves in Buffalo County?
Oh yeah, there's wolves down even by Green Bay and south of Green Bay.
Really?
Yeah. They won't admit it, but I have personally seen them.
I just figured Buffalo County was just because it's got too well known, but wolves, huh?
There's a little bit of that, but wolves are definitely a really bad thing. And then you're seeing it in Ohio right now, but EHD hit pretty hard. Michigan got hit last year. Ohio's getting hammered right now with EHD. Hammered.
So is Iowa.
Yeah, it's not good.
And they still think CWD is the big deal. They don't kill hardly as many deer as EHD. It's not even close.
Yeah, EHD is probably a way bigger killer than CWD, and I have my own personal opinions about CWD.
Oh, I think it's a money grab. Is that your thought?
I think that
You can say it.
it's going to sound pretty off the wall, but I think we're going to start seeing our wildlife be targeted when it comes to like diseases and vaccines and stuff like that. We're already starting to see, it hasn't been studied, so we don't really know the damage, but think of all the glyphosate that's being sprayed in the ag fields. That's all the deer are eating. Between microplastics and the glyphosate chemical, there's a lot of that. Plus now you have ticks that are injected with all sorts of crazy diseases, which they've even admitted that was used as a bioweapon. Ticks are all over deer all the time. And with these oddball diseases like EHD, CWD, you just don't know. And it's not like it's being researched, or tested or anything like that. Is our wildlife actually cleaner? I don't know.
I just like to tell myself it's Mother Nature taking care of overpopulation.
Yeah, and that's why I love elk hunting, because some elk are in the ag fields, but most of them aren't. They're very pure still.
Yeah, I won't get in the argument.
Yeah, those are my thoughts. Take it for what you will.
I'm a farmer, so I definitely need to get out and travel more and do some hunting. I haven't shot a deer outside of Iowa. I'd love to kill an elk. So when you're going out west, is this public, private, people?
Public.
Public?
Public and then some private. Like this year, I've got an antelope tag, 2 mule deer tags, one in Wyoming, one in Colorado. An antelope. I said antelope already. I'm going to start over. Antelope, elk, and 2 mule deer tags.
Where are the elk tags at?
Colorado.
How is that? I've heard it kind of fizzled out, got too much attention, and it's not as good.
Next year is the year to burn points.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because it's going to get harder. Like they're starting to raise the point quota, so it's going to take longer to draw. So people who've been investing their points forever, you got to burn those next year. Otherwise, your chances are going to go way down.
Do you think that's needed for Colorado just because I've heard the size of elk in Colorado has really gone down in the past 10 or 15 years? Just got oversaturated with hunters.
Yeah, I think Colorado definitely got oversaturated, but there's a lot on a state level too. I was a Colorado resident for 9 years, and a lot of the times the non-residents would draw first because the state is making more money off of them. It's $800 for a tag versus $50 for a resident. There was some speculation around that where non-residents would draw because the state makes more money.
That doesn't make much sense.
But you also have to look at, they're introducing wolves to Colorado now, and there's already been wolves that came down from Yellowstone and then came up from New Mexico. So you have 2 different wolf packs that kind of spread out through there. So you have 2 different types of wolves that infiltrated Colorado. And then the weather. Mule deer are very sensitive. You've got a lot of issues with the mountain goats infecting the bighorn sheep with pneumonia. Bighorn sheep are super sensitive also. So a lot of the sheep died off. A lot of the mule deer are dying off because whitetails are starting to come in. There's more whitetails in Colorado than people think. Whitetails are a lot more hardy than mule deer. Mule deer die so easily. So when we had those really bad winters, it killed a lot of antelope and mule deer off pretty hard. Elk too. Elk got hit pretty hard with that too. So there's a lot of that going on. And then with the fires, and excess hunters. I would say when people want to elk hunt, the first state they go to is Colorado. So Colorado has definitely been overhunted, I would say, over the last couple of years.
If you could elk hunt in one state and you didn't have to worry about drawing tags or anything, what state would that be?
Idaho.
Idaho? Is it expensive to hunt elk in Idaho?
It's not expensive, it's just impossible to draw a tag.
Is it?
Yeah.
How long does it take?
It's not so much the draw that's hard, it's that everybody's applying there, so their website crashes the day that it's open, and you'll just never get a spot in line.
Really?
Yeah.
So Idaho has the biggest elk, you think?
I think Arizona has the biggest elk.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you tried drawing for Arizona?
No, because it takes 8 years.
Well, you gotta start sometime.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I need to start putting in for points there. I haven't been doing that. New Mexico and Arizona are also hidden gems when it comes to elk. Nebraska, too.
Far western Nebraska? I didn't even realize that Nebraska had big elk. I know they have big muleys.
Definitely big muleys. Yep.
So my buddies used to go out there, buy over-the-counter tags. I don't even know if they're that far west, and they would just get on these pivots of Milo fields and just crush 160s in velvet.
Yeah. I have an archery mule deer tag this year and a rifle mule deer tag. I don't have the desire to shoot a mule deer that's in velvet. I don't know why, I just don't. It just shrinks so much. I like hardhorn.
It'd be nice to have one in velvet. I'd rather shoot hardhorn too, but
Yeah,
I'd
definitely.
take what I can get.
Yeah, I've got my work cut out for me this fall, that's for sure.
How many weeks are you gonna be on the road traveling?
A lot. I have all of September to kill my mule deer with my bow. I've got like the first week of October. October is going to be crazy. I'm going to be hunting the entire month. I've got 3 tags for October: antelope, elk, and mule deer. I think mule deer in November, and then elk and antelope in October. So I'm going to be hunting the whole month.
You have a little camper in the back of your truck or something? The only person that I've had on this podcast that also had a truck tent, also the only other female on the podcast. I don't think it's a coincidence, but
No, it's safer.
what, you worried that the wolves are going to crawl in your tent?
No, but I've had bears in my tent before.
Tell me more.
When I was in Colorado, I had a bear in camp, and there was like glass bottles in the trash. And I'm the lightest sleeper ever. The bear snuck into camp, stole the trash bag without making a sound. Couldn't find it anywhere the next morning. And then the next night in camp, I slept in the back of the truck, and I heard it moving around like by the truck. Like I could hear its nose sniffing in between the cab and the bed. Not a comfortable thing. And there's mountain lions and stuff too. I've ran into several mountain lions hunting in Colorado. My least favorite animal. Black bears don't bother me. There's no grizzly, at least to my knowledge, in Colorado. Montana's a different story. But the mountain lions is what freaks me out.
See, they'd freak me out too, and they even freak me out in Iowa. You hear stories, oh, I got a picture of a mountain lion. So naturally, I'm walking out to my tree stand and it's pitch black. I'm like, that mountain lion's around here somewhere.
Yeah. And you can hear them at night too, like the little chirping sound when they're calling for their babies. Like I was bear hunting outside of the res on public land, Forest Service land. It was very far in there. And there was a mountain lion. We were hiking out after checking because I had shot a bear and we were confirming blood and we had to go and find it the next morning. So on the hike out, you could hear the mountain lion calling to her cubs. And I'm like, oh no, hard pass.
Well, you see videos or TikToks of people hunting them in the rocks or whatever, and the mountain lion will run right by them. No thanks. Balls of steel, I don't have those.
Hunting out west by yourself is something I do and I don't do. For whatever reason, for turkey, I'll do it. If I'm doing a day trip, I'll do it, but I will not do it overnight by myself.
You feel better carrying a weapon, or like if you're bow hunting, do you carry?
It's definitely a safety thing, especially for women, because you don't know. The people is what I'm more worried about. I mean, obviously I have guns and stuff, but it's a thing. I don't know. Haven't gotten over it yet.
Do a lot of women get harmed out there hunting by themselves?
Not that I know of, but I'm also not going to be the first one to find out.
Yeah, it's too bad. I didn't realize that was a concern. So, of the 3 animals you mentioned, we'll throw black bear out. They're harmless. Grizzly bear or mountain lion, which one would you rather see? Or wolves. We'll throw wolves in there.
Wolves don't bother me. I would say grizzly is my number one no. Definitely not. It's funny because my fiance is actually in Alaska right now hunting them.
Really?
Yeah, but no grizzlies for me.
Most of the time, they're probably, I won't say harmless. They're not going to mess with you. You just don't want to catch them on a bad day.
I don't want to catch them on any day. I'll pass on a G-Wagon.
I don't know, man.
And you definitely see them in Montana a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, and Wyoming.
I don't know. Mountain lions are pretty feisty. Not as much as a grizzly bear, but at least they sneak up on you and kill you, so you don't even know what's coming. You were going to say something?
I haven't seen as many mountain lions as I have grizzlies.
Really?
Yeah,
How close were you getting to these grizzlies?
not very close. But still, if I can see them, that's too close for me.
Do they see you?
No, but like glassing.
They're pretty fast. As big as they are, they can move pretty quick.
Yeah. Hiking at night? No.
You wouldn't spend nights in Alaska out in a tent?
No.
Is that what your fiance's doing? You said fiance, right?
Yeah, that's what he's out doing right now.
How's he trying to hunt them?
Glass them, find them, get close, shoot.
Gun or archery?
He brought both, but I'm assuming he'll probably shoot one with a gun.
If you had the right person with you that's familiar with the territory, just boating down the river, trying to get one on the bank,
Yeah.
shooting one that way.
We black bear hunted 2 years ago in Alaska, and it was really fun. Winter stuck around too long, so we didn't end up seeing a whole lot.
Is it the same styles they do like up in northern Minnesota or Canada?
I think so.
Just like in a tree stand over a bait pile?
No, we definitely don't do that. We hike around until we find one.
Really?
You stick around the shoreline and then glass up until you find them up right on the snow line in the mountain.
I'd like to do it like up in northern Minnesota. You get in tree stands and you have these bait piles. Then you see videos of like the bears crawling up the tree with the tree stand in it.
Yeah, I haven't tree stand hunted for anything but whitetail.
Really?
Well, black bears in Canada, but other than that, nothing.
How'd you hunt them with the bow in Canada?
Overbait,
On the ground?
tree stand.
That's what I was just talking to you about. And you're like, I've never done that before.
Not for like Western animals or like not in Alaska, but in Canada, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I'd like to do a black bear hunt, is just in a tree stand over a bait pile and hope they don't climb up my tree.
Which happens.
A lot. I don't think they'll hurt you.
I don't get nervous around black bears for whatever reason. Maybe the ones with cubs, but UP of Michigan actually has a lot of bears.
Do they, black bears?
Yeah. I've never seen them unless they're on a trail camera, but I haven't seen them whitetail hunting.
What do you think the most dangerous species is in North America?
Grizzly,
Really?
100%, in my opinion.
Would polar bears count?
No, because I don't think they're in North America. You said North America.
I did. I didn't know. I'm not good with geography.
In the world, I wouldn't say polar bears even still. I would still say grizzlies.
Over a polar bear?
I think so, in my opinion. Polar bears are more aggressive because they're trying to survive. They go a really long time without food. So they're like starving.
That's what I'm saying.
But grizzlies kill for sport. That's the difference. They do it because it's fun.
If you're within distance of a polar bear, they're going to try eating you.
Yeah.
So how many trips a year do you take on these Western hunts? Is this kind of a normal year for you?
This year is more packed than it normally is, but I usually do probably 2 trips a year out west in the fall.
Are you just hunting, or are you trying to do some of the filming?
Self-filming.
Self-film?
Yeah.
Looking at pictures, look like you shot a pretty good one recently. Pretty good elk.
Yeah.
When was that?
That was in 2021. I'm on like a once every 3-year trajectory for elk for whatever reason. I shot my first one 6 years ago, my second one 3 years ago, so I'm due for one. I was due for one last year. I shot one twice with a bow last year and didn't kill it. So that was a hard one, but I should get one with a rifle this year.
What time of year are you going out there?
October. Yeah, I've got first rifle, which is like October 15th, I think.
Is the rut over by then? I hear a dog in the background.
Yeah, that's my lab. He's hungry and he's yelling at me to feed him. He's my black lab.
I used to have a black lab.
He's my bestie. I don't go anywhere without this dog. He is literally my shadow other half.
How old is he?
He is 8.
8.
He's a British black lab, so he's got like the extra scruff and
Really?
he's not like a scrawny. No, aren't you?
I had the American. I had to put her down at 5 from cancer. Is BS. She's way too young.
My lab is spoiled. He's on a holistic diet. Even he is.
Really?
He's a crunchy dog, yeah. In Michigan, you can shoot 20 whitetails. So we'll shoot like 5 does just to supply his dog food for the year.
20?
Yeah.
Is there a limit on how many bucks you can kill?
Yeah, you can still only shoot 2 bucks, but you can get 20 deer total.
I can't remember if I've had anybody from Michigan yet or not. You always hear great things about how good the hunting is in Michigan.
It's awesome. There's deer everywhere. But that's the other thing is like people shoot all the bucks, no matter how big or how small.
That was sarcasm, by the way.
It's true though.
If you're trying,
Hunting in Michigan is awesome.
what about if you're trying to kill a big buck?
You probably won't shoot anything over 160. And if you do, you're lucky.
Really?
Yeah.
That's just the hunting?
And everybody shoots all the bucks. And that's why the state is so screwed up because, we have so many does because a lot of people don't shoot does. So that's why we have 3 ruts because there's more does than bucks. The ratio's messed up. Yeah, we've got 3 different ones. There's fawns all over the place. There's going to be another round of fawns probably in December.
Is the DNR, whatever they call it in Michigan, the Department of Natural Resources, are they not any good?
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily their fault. It's just one of those hard conversations. Like, do you do the earn a buck thing? Do you not? Do we go back down to 1 buck per year or not? I love being able to shoot 2 bucks a year, but it would probably be wiser to only shoot 1. And I think the earn a buck thing might be also a good idea for a little bit, but who knows? It's hard because it depends on the area. When EHD hits, that's going to screw people. They even tried to do it where they didn't let youth hunters shoot bucks, which was a huge issue when that first came out for obvious reasons. But yeah, there's just a lot of does.
Yeah, it sounds like that needs to be corrected. Wonder why Michigan's so bad about that. People just killing small bucks. It's just a culture.
Yeah, culture for sure. I know. I will feed you in a minute.
Give us 13 minutes, bud. What was I going to say? Your dog distracted me.
You distracted me too.
Okay, the landscape of hunting in Michigan. Is it a lot of public, private? How is that set up?
I would say there's decent public. There's pretty good public, but it's pretty crowded. I don't hunt public personally. I hunt private. So I'm not the greatest to answer that one because I've only been here for 3 years, but I would say the public opportunity is pretty good. Yeah. There's enough public to get away from people if you truly wanted to. You'd have to hike your face off.
Closer to the lakes or what?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that do a lot of urban deer hunting too.
Really?
If they can get permission, yeah.
See, in Iowa, there's a little bit of public, but Iowa has a very small amount of public compared to other states. I think Kansas only has 2%.
Yeah, Kansas is really small. Really, really small. You'd need leases.
It's almost turning into a rich man sport.
It sure is. That's how it's getting out west too.
How so?
They just keep raising the tag prices. To hunt in Montana is $1,200. Colorado's $850. And every state just keeps raising the prices. Wyoming just got more expensive because you have to put in for your points. And then when you draw, you have to pay for the tag. So it just gets more and more expensive. And now that they're making it harder to draw, like people aren't spending $150 on points anymore when it's going to take them 22 points to draw an elk tag or a sheep tag or a goat tag.
Well, some of those sheep, one of my guests was saying, is like $25,000 to go hunt them. Is that on the bucket list?
I don't have a desire to shoot a sheep. I don't know why. I just don't.
You don't want a big trophy room full of every species across North America?
No, I think my biggest bucket list ones is a moose, a mountain goat, a caribou, a really big mule deer, and a really big antelope. So I would say the North American slam or whatever they call that. Those are my interests. Anything outside of that, I don't really have any desire to shoot. I would love to shoot a big fallow deer. Don't really have much interest in shooting a red stag personally. I'd be more interested in the brown trout in New Zealand versus the red stag, but I would love to shoot a tar and a fallow deer. And then in Africa, I want to shoot an ostrich, a kudu,
An ostrich.
and an impala. Those would be my three.
Impala, shakala.
Yeah. And like, I don't enjoy, and I haven't really done it enough to get into it, but once I shoot a big mule deer, I'll probably never hunt them again.
Really?
Yeah. Elk is my thing. Like, I love elk and whitetail hunting, so I would be totally fine just sticking with that every year.
How big was that elk you killed? That's number one on my bucket list.
That scored 372.
Oh, that's plenty big enough.
Yeah, it was 55 inches wide. He was a 7x7. Shot him on public land.
How long did it take you to find him? Find one big enough to shoot? Sorry, buddy.
He just like sneezed and smashed his face on the ground. That one was like stupid lucky. I had 5 days to hunt, 3 days. We hunted at like 11,000 feet and weren't finding anything. And then went down to mule deer country and ended up finding one big bull on day 4. And I got within 30 yards of him with my 30-06. I was standing up and I bumped into him and couldn't shoot him. I like froze and like didn't pull the trigger like an idiot. And then ended up finding him a mile and a half across on the other side of the mountain in a drainage and had no idea how big he was when I shot him. I just knew it was a legal bull because I had antler restrictions. So it had to have like 3-inch brow tines and 3 tines on each side. So I knew it was legal. I just didn't know how big it was before I shot him. I just knew he was legal. And so I didn't get to see like how big he actually was until I got up to him.
I'm sure you probably didn't have to get that close to him before you noticed.
It was insane. I lost my mind.
Describe bumping into him. Did he see you right away, or how'd that work?
So I glassed him up at like 1,000 yards and then went down and around to basically do a spot and stalk on him. And literally, like, he ended up getting up from the tree that he was laying down at and started feeding. And that's when I ran into him. I knew he was in that area. And I'm like, oh crap, he got out of his bed. And then ended up running into him while he was feeding. And he stared at me for like, it felt like forever, but it was probably like 5 or 6 seconds where I like got my gun up on him. I just like couldn't pull the trigger. I don't know why. I just froze.
And he was kind of sitting still there for a couple seconds before he took off when you had the gun up?
A very, very few amount of seconds, but I think it was because I was standing and I wasn't like confident shooting in a standing position.
It's 30 yards. Come on.
I know, but still, it was like muscle memory wasn't there, confidence wasn't there. I was ready to call it quits after that, to be honest. And then something in me was like, okay, I'll keep going.
And this is the one you killed? Same one? Were you hunting by yourself?
I was with myself until the last couple days. I was with another girlfriend of mine.
Was she with you when you bumped that big one? She didn't realize how big it was either?
Oh, she knew. She just didn't tell me. She knew how big it was. We both saw it on day 4, but when we saw it on day 5, she knew how big it was. I was just making sure I hit it. And I ended up putting 2 bullets in him and he went down. But it was like the worst time of day because it was like 5:30 and it gets dark at like 7 or around like 6:45. So the sun, it was like perfect golden hour and the sun was like right in my face. So looking through my optics, it was like very hazy because my gun was pointing right towards the sun. So I'm like getting this terrible glare and I couldn't even see him because it was so much of this glare coming in through my scope. So I had to wait for that to go away. And he was kind of like teeter-tottering in and out of the pine trees. And then he finally came out long enough for me to shoot. So I shot him, hit him right in the cavity, shot him again. He was running at this point, blew out his front knee, which wasn't intentional, but was a good thing because then he wouldn't have ran up and over. Put a 3rd shot in him and he went down.
Where's your girlfriend from?
She was from Montana.
So she knew elk probably a little bit better than you did?
About the same.
Really?
Yeah. At this point, I had been hunting them for 5 years.
How come she didn't want to shoot it?
She didn't have a tag.
She was just kind of joining you for the fun?
Yeah. And then I went on a elk hunt with her like a week later in Montana for her tag.
Did she get one? Has she ever shot a pretty good one?
Yeah. She shot 2 nice ones with a bow.
Really? That's
I
impressive.
still haven't killed one with a bow.
Is that on your bucket list?
Yeah, definitely. I need redemption, which is actually funny because last year I had a mountain goat and an elk tag, and after I didn't kill that elk after shooting him twice, I got like target panic really bad. So I hung up my compound bow last year and shot everything with a crossbow, and it was awesome.
Really?
Like, I'm not normally a crossbow hunter. I've actually like been very uncomfortable around them. But I used to work at Shields, so like we used to have to sell them and demo them for people, and nobody liked them. And in Michigan, you can use a crossbow whenever you want, which is awesome. And I'm like, I don't care if people judge me for this. I just need to like feel good about myself again. So I ended up shooting like 6 deer last year with a crossbow, and it was awesome. It was like a good revenge killing year.
Are you ever going back?
Yeah, I'm shooting my compound this year.
Bowtech?
But yeah, I've got the virtue.
So there must not have been any hard feelings when you stopped working for them.
Yes and no. The virtue is still, in my opinion, the best bow for 2025, but I'm probably going to go back to shooting prime after this year.
That's G5.
Yeah.
So many bow brands, I can't keep up with them.
Yeah. Well, and they're based out of Michigan.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Is that who you use for broadheads?
Yeah. Mega meats. I used to use Ramcats, and I actually need to figure out this year what broadheads I want to use for mule deer and elk. I still need to find a switch because Ramcat just isn't available anymore. So I need to switch it up. I just don't know what I'm going to use yet. Slick tricks, maybe. I don't know.
You like the expandables?
Not for out west. For whitetail, yeah, they're fine. But for out west, I prefer no.
I'll look it up and see what it is. There's apparently a company out of Nebraska that one of my guests was telling me about, and they're dirt cheap. And he's got videos of like shooting steel plates with them, and they look pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I gotta do a deep dive into broadheads this year, and I gotta do it like this week.
I'll ask him and see what it is, but I can't remember if they're like the single bevel. No, they got different ones. One of them looks like a G5 Montec,
Yeah,
but it's just a private company, so no middleman. You can get them cheaper. I think it's like $20 for 3 of them.
yeah, I gotta look into that.
The guy that shoots them is a killer, so take his word for it, I guess.
I need good broadheads for western hunting and then whitetail. Whitetail, I usually use mega meats.
Mega Meats. Have you ever heard of Sever?
Yeah, I just haven't tried them.
This will be my first year with them. I've always been G5 Montecs, so switching it up this year.
Yeah, I need to do the same.
Before we wrap this up, we always like to get some embarrassing stories out of our guests.
Oh boy.
Usually hunting focused, but I'm sure you got a couple to share with our listeners, don't you?
Probably it's funny because I have a funny story about my biggest deer that I ever shot, which was like 155. Shot him in Illinois. I was like 19, I think. He was broadside, like perfectly broadside. And when I shot, I actually missed. And he kind of just stood there and stared at me, and I grunted at him, and he like stomped. And I was able to get an arrow knocked and shoot him again. And there was like a spike buck that came in right behind him, like right as I was shooting. So when this deer, like I was shooting broadside and he kind of quartered away and started to walk away. And I was shooting like a rage broadhead at the time. So I ended up shooting him right in the butt. And he took off. And thankfully, I hit an artery and he dropped like 300 yards later. I don't know how that even ended up working out. Missing and him not running away. And then also, when I finally did shoot him, shot him right in the butt.
So after you missed, you said you grunted. Was he starting to walk away or run away or what?
No, I just didn't want him to run away. So I like had my little grunt tube on like a little necklace thing and grunted at him. And he like didn't know what I was. That's when, I don't know if you remember this, that carbon synergy. It was like a powder that you could get and you would like put it all over your face or you could wash your clothes with it. So I like had this all over my face. So I was like, he couldn't tell what I was.
That's interesting. I just know my first response would not be grab the grunt tube if he wasn't running yet, but
That's what my gut told me to do and it worked out.
it worked. It worked. You got any other embarrassing stories?
Not off the top of my head. Oh, yeah. When I was duck hunting one time in Ohio, I got stuck in the muck and like had my blind bag up here and my gun up. And I ended up like almost falling, your natural reaction is to sit. So instead of falling, I like knelt down, filled my waders, had to strip. My buddy had to bring me dry clothes. And
Really?
I ended up having to like strip into my underwear in like the middle of a marsh when it was like 30-mile-an-hour winds at 20 degrees. That was very cold.
The waders got stuck or you just got wet?
My waders got stuck in the mud because it's like very, very mucky. And we were walking through like pretty deep water. We were walking through the marsh.
Did you get them out?
Yeah. Yeah, it was terrible. That was the first time I've ever filled my waders duck hunting. I filled my waders fly fishing all the time, but duck hunting is a different story.
One of my buddies, that happened to him. I think they shot ducks and he's like going out to get them. And I don't think there's any water, but the water level had gone down and he got stuck so bad. He literally had to unload his Franke shotgun and like use it as a scoop shovel to get himself out.
Oh no, that's bad.
The buddy that was hunting with him, I'm friends with both of them, has it on video.
Yeah, that's bad.
But cool. Well, I appreciate you joining. Nice to get some different perspectives from
Yeah,
different states, all that good stuff. We'll definitely have to stay in touch. Hopefully you
yeah,
can
definitely.
utilize your marketing expertise at some point.
Yeah, and if you ever need health advice, you know where to find me.
You bet. All right, we'll be in touch.
All right, sounds good.
You bet. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of A Hunter's Legacy. Remember, hunting isn't just about the harvest. It's about the journey and the legacy we all leave behind. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with all the other hunters in your life. And if you have a story to tell, we'd love to hear it, because every hunter has a legacy worth sharing.